Well, it's taken a couple of days, but today marks my first competitive match in charge of Boreham Wood. Hey guys, and welcome to episode 2 of One Team, One Dream, Into the Woods. My name is James, and on today's episode, as I stated in the intro, I will be taking charge of Boreham Wood for my first competitive match of the series as we face Torquay at home, followed by Yeovil away. Well, since you were last with me, obviously we've had the pre-season and it's gone pretty well. If we look at the pre-season, there's a couple of obvious losses in there. Brentford and Watford were obviously going to be tough games, but we have scored a lot of goals, not conceded many in the matches where we were facing teams similar to us. We've already faced fellow league teams, including Yeovil Town, who we beat 4-2 in our final friendly of the pre-season. But as well as playing all the games, the thing obviously we want to dive straight into is transfers. So let's jump into the transfer history. Now, excluding everything that happened on the 27th of July or before, because that had happened prior to me taking charge of the club. So starting with the outs. So we have Danny Woodards. I think this one was really fairly obvious. 36-year-old. He'd been at the club a couple of years, but in the previous season had only played 11 games. Obviously didn't feel he was good enough. We managed to bring in, we already had good enough coverage at this position anyway, and so we thought we'd give him an opportunity to move elsewhere. He moved to Gateshead for a staggering £15, which I think was essentially his taxi fare to the train station. We then have Charlie Wickham, who left on a free. He was a player who, even at 19 years old, I could tell wasn't necessarily going to be able to, didn't have quite the potential that we wanted at this club. Because one thing I'm really going to focus on, as I mentioned in the first episode, was I really want to focus on developing youth in this save. So he went on a free to Slough. And then the final out of the season was Donovan Green, who, his scouting rating says everything if I'm perfectly honest. So he's gone to TNS for £775, and hopefully he'll be able to get into the team there, because he definitely wasn't going to be able to get into this one. So in terms of the ins now, if anyone saw my save with Bristol Rovers last year, you will know you'll have a little bit of an indication of what my transfer policy is like, and so you'll be unsurprised to see that in terms of player trials, there were a lot of them. There were tens and tens of players coming in and out every single week of the pre-season, and with it being obviously the delayed start to the season in this version of the game, it meant that we had quite a number of them come in. But in terms of the ones we did keep, anything prior to the 27th of July will be counted. I won't be going through as they were here already, but you'll be introduced to a number of them as the season goes on. So we're starting with Milo Hall, 2.5-star current ability, 5-star potential ability, English midfielder. He came in on a free. He was at West Brom, and with a trend with a lot of these players, younger player who has good potential. Courtney Watson was the next one to come in on a free transfer. He is a 19-year-old English right winger who has 4-star current ability, 4.5-star potential ability, came in from Crystal Palace. You can sense a theme. Ex-Premier League youngsters come in for free. Lewis Blackshaw, 21-year-old, slightly older than a couple of the others, but 21-year-old English left-back, 1.5-star current ability, 4.5-star potential ability. He came in on a free from Man City. Again, another one for the future. Tariq Shihab. I'm going to have to get used to saying his name if he's going to come into the side. Slightly better developed 19-year-old, 3-star current ability, 5-star potential ability. However, something I didn't realise when I signed him, and I have at this point, he is a 5'9" centre-back. Came in on a free. He was on loan at Tamworth last season from Brighton. He's a backup. Reece Brown came in also on a free. 3.5-star current ability, 3.5-star potential ability, 28-year-old right back. He has come in to be our backup right back. If we go into reports, you'll see that Kane Smith is currently our main right back. You'll be introduced to him later, with Wes Dobson as a youngster developing. This guy's been around pretty much everywhere: Premier League, League 2, Championship, League 1. He has had, he's not had massive amounts of games for how long he's been around. He's he's not even got to 100 games yet. But he'll come in as a half decent backup. Emmanuel Adebayo. This is a player I had on last year's game. I saw him come up on the reports. He develops very, very nicely actually when I did. I think it was my offline crew save I did last year. But he comes in 2.5 star current ability, 5.5 star potential ability midfielder. He's come in, played a couple of pre-season friendlies. Not exactly ripped up any trees, but he's going to hopefully develop quite nicely as the club goes on. And he again comes in, ex-Premier League youngster from Watford. And finally, Ben Tricker is a 2.5 star current ability, 5 star potential ability, 6'6" centre back. I brought this guy in for one reason and one reason alone. It's because I saw that the other guy I brought in was 5'9", and a centre back. So this guy has come in as the backup centre back for our main defenders, but he comes in on a free, as the rest had, again from Watford, after having moved to Fulham on a free and had a season at Harrow where he only played 9 games. So the transfer window is still open. We still have a couple of trialists at the club, so there's a chance we still could bring in some more players. But do you know what? After having played the 3 pre-season friendlies we have, I think I've settled on a starting 11 at the very least for the time being, and I'm pretty happy with the depth of the squad. Now, with all that out of the way, we move on to, unfortunately, the first bit of bitter news of the save, and we've not even got into the first match yet. If I go on to the schedule, the one thing you'll notice going through all of these games is there is one player who has scored pretty consistently throughout the entire pre-season, and is one of the best players at the club. And it is Kumbongo Shimanga. I even learnt to say his name because I presumed I'd be saying it a lot. However, about a week ago, after the last friendly of our pre-season, I had a report come through to say he was out for up to 6 to 7 weeks with sprained knee ligaments. He played... do you know what? It's probably a little bit my fault. The fact we played so many friendlies, but it was quite a long pre-season. I wanted to keep the guys going, and we didn't play 2 games every week. A lot of the weeks we did only play 1 game. However, he went through all of that. He smashed. I think we had at least 2 or possibly even 3 hat-tricks from this guy over pre-season. And then in training, he then sprains his knee ligaments and is out. So currently he's been out for 8 days. He is set to be out for another 3 to 5 weeks. So we won't be singing on this episode, but hopefully he'll be back for the next one. Also, just to add to the story that is Shimanga, he is on his last year of contract at the club. He is, as I stated, one of the best players at the club. He is likely to be the reason, if we have any chance of achieving what the board wants, which is playoffs this season, he is going to need to be at the heart of the team. However, he has refused 2 contracts already. First time he wanted £2,500 a week. We just couldn't afford that. Second time round, he wanted £1,900 a week. We managed to get him down, but only as far as £1,600. And I just couldn't bring myself to agree to all the extras, other bits and pieces he wanted. And he got quite angry quite quickly and refused the contract. So this may be a one and done. This may be a player who we just use up as best we can this season and he moves on. But I'm hoping to better sign him up to a new contract. And hopefully we can keep him at the club, because if we can, this guy could be a star. So this is the team that I have decided on for at least the initial part of the season. We'll be playing a wing play 4-2-4 with a positive mentality. We are practicing a couple of other formations as well. We've got a 5-2-1-2 or a 5-3-2, depending on how you want to describe it. Fluid counter-attack. And then we've got a traditional 4-4-2 with a route 1 cautious mentality. But we're going to be sticking with this one initially, as I feel, based on how we've played in pre-season, that we should be on the front foot in a lot of these games, and I believe we could be up there with the playoffs, not necessarily in terms of promotion, but definitely around the top part of the table. Now, in terms of my team selection as well, this will obviously develop as the season goes on. But what I've tried to do here, and this is something I try and do at the start of pretty much all my saves, I've tried not to throw the baby out with the bathwater, and I have tried to meld my transfers in to what was already the players that are already here. So as you can see, some of the star ratings on the players that are in the starting 11 aren't necessarily the best, and we do have a number of older players in the squad. But what I didn't want to do was upset anyone, especially when we've got a couple of team leaders who have been here a little while. So if I look at the dynamics, we've got two key players here. Both we've got Rickett and Champion, who are the two team leaders. Both of those are in the starting squad today, and one is captain, one is vice captain. We then have, I think his name's Murtag. We'll say Murtagh. He is the highly influential player. A couple of players who we did sell on during the summer were in this area, and this was empty for a little while. So he has come up to fill that gap. And obviously a number of the older players are also in the influential player squad as well. So what I didn't want to do was upset things too much, as the team cohesion is pretty poor based on how many players we've actually brought in. We've got an okay club atmosphere, but the turnover of staff and players is obviously causing a little bit of an issue there. Because the other thing I haven't mentioned was the lack of players, lack of staff we had at the club. There was no scouting staff at all. We had to bring everything in from scratch there. We've had to really recruit in some of the other areas as well, because we had limited staff here when I first started. So let me introduce you to the starting 11 that is going to face Torquay in our first game of the season. We have Ashmore in goal, 30-year-old English goalkeeper, 3.5 star current ability, 3.5 star potential ability. He's been here. He came on loan last season. He came in on a free transfer just before I joined the club. He is, by and away, the best keeper we have in the squad, and so he is going to be the starting keeper. However, Huddard is hopefully going to be a potential talent to come in with 2.5 star current ability, 5 star potential ability, but how much of that 5 star he's going to develop when he is now 23. But hopefully, if we give him some cup time, he's going to develop quite nicely. We have left back Ilznami, I think, or Ilznami. We have Femi at left back. 3.5 star current ability, 3.5 star potential ability, Nigerian left back, good solid full back there. Tom Champion is the first of our centre backs. He is one of the team leaders at the club, 2.5 star current and potential ability, 34-year-old centre back. He is very, very, very slow, but he will hopefully be a leader at the back and be able to provide knowledge and experience, even if he can't necessarily provide pace. His partner is then Jamal Fifield, who is 3.5 star current and potential ability, 31-year-old. Again, there might have been stronger options out there, but he was a player who was already at the club. He's been here for a couple of seasons, and he will, and hopefully between him and Champion, they will be able to develop a good partnership at the back. At right back, we have Smith, 24-year-old English wing back, 4-star current ability, 4.5 star potential abilities, hopefully a little bit more to develop here. One of the strongest defensive players we've got at the club, but also really good at going forward. This to me is my perfect right back, because not only does he have some good tackling, but also good crossing and dribbling, and some good acceleration pace to go along with it. He is going to be hopefully a very strong player for us back there. In central midfield, we have Adam McDonnell, who's a 23-year-old Irish midfielder, 3.5 star current ability, 4.5 star potential ability. Another player who has played pretty much all of our pre-season games and has put in a very good shift. Second of our team leaders partners to him in central midfield, 35-year-old Mark Ricketts, who has been here for a number of seasons now. He has obviously developed as to be one of the leaders of the squad, and it is why he is in the starting 11, even if he is, like Champion, on the slower side. 2.5 star current and potential ability. He is purely in the side to be the captain and hopefully leader in that central midfield. Out wide we have Sorba Thomas, who is a 21-year-old English winger, 4.5 star current ability, 5 star potential ability. I am very excited about this guy, especially for how well he has played. In the 10 games he played, he has had 5 goals, 5 assists, and a 7.17 average rating. Hopefully he carries that on into the main season. His partner out on the other side is Corey Whiteley, who is on loan from Newport County, 29-year-old right winger, 3.5 star current and potential ability. Again, has had a pretty good pre-season, 8 games, 3 goals, 6 assists, and a 7.23 average rating. Again, hopefully he carries that on into the season. Now, the front two are looking slightly different than I was hoping to be able to showcase to you in this first match. But in the deep lying forward role, we have Nicholas McKinnon, who is another one of our exciting youngsters. Yes, we are starting a 16-year-old striker, and he is a 2.5-star current ability, 5-star potential ability. He has got some really exciting stats. He's not necessarily the quickest, but hopefully he'll develop that as he gets a little bit older. He's also not very tall, but hopefully he has enthusiasm, and he has a little bit of flair, good teamwork, work rate he can develop on. But he is coming in purely because our main striker is currently out injured. And to partner him, guy who you will see for pretty much the entire season, hopefully will be able to partner Shimanga, is Shaq Colhurst, 25-year-old English striker, 3.5-star current ability, 5-star potential ability. Again, the 5-star potential ability is probably a little bit ambitious at this point, being the fact he's 25, but I'm not counting anything out. He will be playing the pressing forward / deep lying forward role when Shimanga is playing, but for the time being, he is covering for Shimanga as an advanced forward. Right, so that is the starting 11. I'm going to give my voice a rest before I start losing it, as I realise I've done a lot of talking in the first part of this episode. So let's get into the match. One other thing I will talk about as well is the choice of substitutes. So I've tried to get a balance in the squad this season. We have got a number of players who would be good enough to sit on the bench, but are not actually in the squad for this game, mainly because I have focused on having youngsters on the bench. But Torquay have a free kick here after 11 minutes, but luckily Ashmore manages to parry it around the post and out for a Torquay corner. Torquay take the corner, whipped into the centre. Ricketts is there first though. Can Thomas get there ahead of it? We don't know in the end because the highlight ends. So in terms of the bench, I'm going to focus more on youngsters on the bench. I really want to try and develop the youngsters and try and build from within. So I feel that having youngsters on the bench who can come on for a little bit of pace and impact would be more beneficial than having some of the slightly older backup players on the bench instead. Those guys will obviously play in the development squad and under 23 matches, but also play in some of the cup matches as well, and obviously will be good backups if and when we get injuries. But just coming up to half-time, Torquay have the second highlight of the match. Hargreaves in the ball with the centre. Out wide to Ioma. I presume that is. To Randall, back to Ioma. Torquay looking to come forward. They've really had the only opportunities, and he hits the crossbar. I think actually he hit the bit between the where the crossbar and the post link together. But we have the ball. Are we able to counter-attack here? Thomas with the ball. He's got a little bit of pace on him, but he instead pushes it forward to Colhurst. Can he get any whip across in the centre? But I think he is offside. He is offside there, and we're not able to make anything of it. Coming into half-time, we have actually had a pretty balanced first half. I mean, we've had most of the possession, we've had most of the shots, but only 3 of them on target. But Torquay have had the 2 key highlights so far in this match. Pretty much what I'd expect from a first game of the season. Pretty quiet first half, as both teams kind of seeing each other out, seeing how things are going to go. Nobody wanting to really push forward and risk coming out of their first game of the season with a loss. I'm going to put hands on hips and say you're not doing badly at all. If the work continues, we'll win this. I'd say we haven't had a highlight yet, but we have got one here actually with Colhurst from the throw-in. Islami into the centre to Whiteley. Whiteley tries to go for the shot, but I'm not sure if that was a cross, but he was just too far forward, or whether he tried to go for the shot, but either way it hit the stanchion and went out for a goal kick. As with all new saves as well, we got a free kick here. McDonald into the centre, but it is cleared by Torquay. Now to Ricketts, to Smith. Can he bring it out wide? Out wide to Whiteley. Can he get a cross in this time? Almost went out, but managed to save it. To Smith, back into the centre. Torquay managed to clear again. Madonna on the volley. What a fantastic goal that would have been. But it does go just wide of the goal net. So yes, we hadn't had any highlights in that first half, but we definitely seems to be playing well. So hopefully in the second half we can take advantage of that, although we are now most of the way through the second half with only half hour left to go. So let's make a couple of substitutions. No one's really playing badly, but no one's really taking the game by the scruff of the neck either. So unsurprisingly, both strikers are struggling today. That makes sense based on the stats for the game. But we don't really have anybody else to bring on for him. Maybe let's try. I mean, maybe playing McKinnon was a little bit much for the first game of the season. So let's bring Watson on into the centre. Let's switch out. Let's put Thomas in the centre of the attacking midfield, and let's put him on the advanced playmaker. And we'll have Watson, who is mainly a right winger. However, we are actually training him as an inverted winger on that left hand side to provide a little bit of coverage for Thomas, just in case he happens to get injured this season. So we'll switch to that. So we'll switch on 4-2-3-1, just to see if we can try things a little bit different. Well, maybe while our main striker is out injured, maybe we need to go with one up top instead, and play with a guy in the hole between the midfield and the striker. Only 10 minutes to go. Let's go a little bit attacking. Let's make a couple more substitutions as well. Whiteley is very, very tired, but we don't have anybody to bring on for him. Now we've put Thomas in the centre. McDonald isn't having a very good game either. So let's bring on Adebayi for him, and let's bring on Tricker for Champion. I don't normally like changing the centre backs, but Champion on a booking and on a 6.6. I'd rather him not get sent off in our first match of the season. One thing I have also realised as well is I've set it up on my laptop, which I normally play the games in between, but I haven't set it up on here. So let's set up the touchline tablet. I think that's going to be the best layout for the tablet. One thing I have also realised as well is actually looking at the screen, looking at the recording, you can't actually see the formation, the Torquay formation. So what I might actually do, let's switch myself to the other side. There we go. Now you can actually see the touchline tablet properly. And what I'll probably do is keep myself in this position for the matches and then switch myself to the other side for anything in between. Well, there we go. After all that, there was nothing else in the match. I mean, fairly even, I think, to start the season. I don't know where Torquay actually are set to be for at the end of the season. Just one thing we could look at actually is the pre-season predictions from the media. But as you can see from the XG story there, very even match. Switching back and forth between the two teams in terms of quality of shots. And really and truly, our strikers never really got firing. But the rest of the squad has played well. Hopefully, it's just that strikers have had a bad day today. But I think once Shimanga comes back, we'll definitely start to fire on all cylinders. I'm going to say, can't say that with outstretched arms. 2 hands on hips then. It wasn't our day. Bad luck, guys. They did try. They did play well. We just couldn't get that elusive goal. Right, so as mentioned earlier, let's look at the season preview. So the media actually expect us to be 12th, and it's actually dropped slightly since the start of pre-season. They were predicting us 10th when I started the save. I'm hoping that's more so that some of the teams have got slightly better rather than we've got worse as such. Doesn't look like we've got anybody in the media Dream 11, but our key players, according to the media, are Shimanga and Thomas. I'd have probably predicted that anyway, as those are definitely going to be 2 players who, if we're to get into the upper half of the table and pushing for the playoffs, those 2 guys need to be firing on all cylinders. One final thing I thought I'd look at as well before we go into the next match is the finances. Just to cover off pretty much everything in terms of news from the summer. So we are in a positive place with a positive balance, £177,000. We are making a profit as well this season. We made £144,000 profit. Obviously, some of that is going to be things like season ticket holders and things like that, which we're only going to get once a season. But we are making a profit this season as well, this month as well, with £5,500. Which is good because in terms of the wage budget, we are spending slightly over the wage budget at the moment. I'll try and rectify that before the end of the transfer window, but I'm not going to push any more players out unless they really want to go, because I don't really want to damage the team morale or the team cohesion based on any more than it already has done. And also in terms of projection, we can ignore that. Now on to the next match. It's match day against Yeovil, our first away match of the season. And one thing to note straight away was, through all the pre-season that I did and everything else that I went through, one thing that I completely forgot about when I started this episode and started talking about my bench and how I'm going to be focusing on the youngsters on the bench, because the rest of the players are going to be playing in the development squad. I completely forgot this team doesn't currently have a development squad. We've got the starting squad, the first team squad, and we've got the under-18s, and that is it. That's not necessarily a massive issue. I find in a lot of the clubs, especially lower league clubs that I play at on Football Manager, I find that the development squad, less so a development squad, it becomes more of a dumping ground for players that I can't sell. And so that's kind of one less thing to have to worry about. One thing it does mean, though, is I may have to start rotating some of these players in and out of the substitutions bench just to try and keep them fit. Obviously, the youngsters that are there will be able to play in the under-18s, but that's something I'm going to have to try and keep tabs on, especially as it does seem that fitness is a key factor in this year's version of the game. In my other save that I'm doing on here as well with Bournemouth, we are having so many issues with fitness with a slightly paper-thin squad, and it is causing numerous problems with our form. And so this may be something that I'm going to have to try and nip in the bud early in this save to stop us from having too many issues or injuries. So just one change from the previous match. Thomas has switched over to the right-hand side and Watson has come in for him as the inverted winger, purely just because Whiteley is a little bit tired after the last match. And as I've just stated, with the fitness thing, is something obviously we want to try and keep an eye on. I have switched back to the 4-2-4 for this match. I feel that as we've gone through the entire pre-season, pretty much playing the 4-2-4. I don't really want to switch it up to the 4-2-3-1 straight away. We will start training it, I think, or may include it as one of our options for training to see how it goes. But I want to kind of stick for this one for the time being, as I don't, while a lot of the players are bedding in, I don't want to be changing things up too frequently in the first part of the season. So here we are at Hewish Park now, with a draw in our first game of the season, with it being a home game. I'm not expecting anything more than a draw really from this game, especially as coming into it, Yeovil are seen as the better team. We're seen as the underdogs in this match, but Thomas is coming forward. The first highlight of the match is cross is deflected, but back to Smith. Nobody in the centre there managing to get it, so it goes as far as Watford back out to the far side. And now it's Isami into the centre. McKinnon with the header puts it just over the bar. And straight away we have another highlight. Smith with the ball. The throw-in, unfortunately, is cleared by Yeovil to Ricketts. To McDonnell. Now to Smith. Whips another good cross into the centre to Colehurst. Colehurst, the goalkeeper, manages to save it. Colehurst can't get to the second ball. We do still have the ball, though, with Isami out on the far side. Now to Ricketts. To Thomas. To Smith again. Another brilliant cross in the centre again to Colehurst. Third time lucky for Colehurst. Some fantastic crosses from Smith there. One of them was bound to create a goal. Ricketts there with the ball. Turns around, sees Thomas. Thomas out to Smith. Smith in massive space. Smith whips it into the centre on a dime. Colehurst with the header puts it into the back of the net for our first goal of the save and our first goal of the season, putting us 1-0 up. We have a free kick here. Yeovil player Collins with the booking. McDonald to take the free kick, whipped into the centre. Colehurst again for his second. Not a couple of minutes later, back-to-back highlights and back-to-back goals. Well, this is completely unexpected after the first game. Maybe we just needed the first game just to bed in a little bit. But McDonald with the whipped free kick into the centre of the penalty area. Colehurst this time at the back post. Colehurst at the back post again. But this time he's on the right-hand side rather than the left-hand side. Pops it into the bottom corner, the right-hand corner, to put us 2-0 up. Straight away we have a highlight here. The Boreham throw-in is kept by the keeper, but Yeovil were trying to come forward, but we've managed to collect the ball again. I mean, I'm just losing track of what is going on here. I'm so excited about the fact that we are 2-0 up in our first away game of the season. We have the ball again. Watson. Now Colehurst, who's on for a first half hat-trick at this point. Is Sammy into the centre. This time to Thomas. And we are 3-0 up. What is going on? 3-0 up after 20 minutes. I mean, the media have definitely got this wrong then. I mean, we're only 20 minutes in. I mean, anything could happen in the second half. But the fact we came into this with the media saying that we were underdogs. I told them to go out and cause an upset. I did not expect it to be happening after 20 minutes of this game. This is madness. Islami with the ball there. Into Witt to the centre. Thomas looking for his second, but unfortunately it's cleared. And as far as Ricketts though, Smith to Thomas to Smith. Can he do a brilliant cross into the centre? But there's no one there. Wilkinson manages to clear it for Yeovil. Yeovil now looking to come forward a little bit. I'm surprised they are playing the way they are, because they're surprised they are if they're not shell shocked after this first kind of half hour of the game. Ashmore collects it though quite comfortably. Or are we going to come forward again? Ashmore booting it forward, but only as far as a Yeovil player. That was a very poor ball by Ashmore. Worthington from distance manages to grab one back for Yeovil. I mean, Ashmore there, rightly disappointed, flail his arms around in annoyance. Because his poor kick there forward, only as far as Staunton. Murphy with the ball. Worthington given a little bit of space, just outside the penalty area, laces it into the back of the net and gives Yeovil a lifeline. With 4 goals in less than 30 minutes of this match. And we have yet another highlight. What is going on? Smith with the ball for Yeovil. But only as far as Thomas. Thomas looks to bring it forward. Obviously already one goal in this game. Can't put his cross in. The cross is blocked by Burke. To Ricketts though again. Back out to Thomas, who's now in space. Width into the centre. Coerce for his first half hat-trick. 29... Now 30 minutes on the clock. Boreham Wood 4. Yeovil 1. And we haven't even got our star striker up front. What are we going to do when he comes back? I mean, obviously McKinnon drops to the bench as the youngster. But if we have Colehurst and I can't remember what the guy's name is now. But if we have both our main strikers up front, and scoring like this, I mean, it's only one match, and we don't know how good Yeovil are really in the grand scheme of things. But if this is the sign of things to come, this is going to be a fun season. But Yeovil are bringing the ball here with Warburton, looking for Yeovil's second. Whips in the centre for Cooper. Cooper from range hits the post. That was almost a second long-range screamer from Yeovil just in this first half. And we're still only 37 minutes in, and we have yet an... I am not... There's nowhere... I'm on key highlights. I'm making sure I'm not on extended highlights here. Yeovil now have the second, but that's been disallowed. That could have been 6 goals in this first half. I mean, what do you say about that first half? Go out and do more of the same, is pretty much what I'm saying. Do you know what? It says very pleased with performance. Do I praise them or do I say don't get complacent? Do you know what? For how well they're playing, let's give them some positivity. It's only the second match of the season. We can worry about complacency in the latter half of the season. We have a highlight here straight away. Fifield with a free kick forward, but Yeovil managed to win it back. All I can say to the team is don't make me regret not talking about complacency at half time. But Quigley with the ball out wide for Yeovil. Now in the centre to Cooper. To Worthington, goes for his second. Second from range. I'm already regretting not saying about not getting complacent. Because we're only 2 minutes into the second half and Yeovil already have a goal back. We have another highlight here. Izami manages to clear his throw-in, which was lucky, because I was so close to taking him off there. To be honest, coming up to 60 minutes, I might do anyway, if I'm honest. I don't know how well he's playing. Where is he? Left back. I mean, he's playing well, but that was an awful throw-in there. It almost caused the Yeovil to get another goal, and if they get one more back, they can surely they think the fact they have a good chance of getting a result in this. Right, let's bring Adebayi on. Let's swap them over, putting McDonnell into balling midfielder role and then Adebayi into the Carolero role. Courtney Watson is also recovering from a knock. So let's bring on Whiteley and switch. I mean, let's play him on that left-hand side. Thomas is playing so well on that right-hand side. Maybe that's the way around we play them going forward, if he's going to play that well. 63 minutes on the clock. We have a throw-in with Iznami. Now to Whiteley. One thing you will notice, I've probably said that guy's name about 3 or 4 different times this match so far, but Colehurst with the ball in the penalty area. Back to Whiteley, whips in the centre. McKinnon gets his first goal! The 16-year-old striker gets his first goal in our first away match of the season. Shame it couldn't have been at home in front of the home fans. But what a moment for that kid. 16 years old, coming into this match with all the pressure on his shoulders. Whiteley with the chip into the centre. McKinnon manages to use a little bit of pace to find some space in the centre. and with the experience of somebody far older than him, nods it calmly into the back of the net to put the game beyond any doubt. Now 5-2. Right, with just 5 minutes to go, I think we'll make a couple of more substitutions. Thomas is knackered, so let's bring on Blackshaw. He is a left back, but I'm going to play him on that left hand side. Switch Whiteley over to the right. I think that will be the final substitution, mainly because I don't want to break Thomas for how well he's played in this match. And we have a highlight straight away with Yeovil here on 85 minutes. Their free kick, we managed to clear it though. Worthington, who scored the 2 goals, manages to collect the ball. Now coming forward with Rogers. Now with Worthington to Quigley. Yeovil looking for another goal back. Luckily with the block, Murphy with the shot, but we managed to block it. And straight away another highlight. Quigley with the shot. That early on, I'd be surprised if that was going to be a goal. Ashmore manages to collect it quite comfortably. Now hoofs it forward from McKinnon to Colehurst. Oh, the ball is deflected by the goalkeeper to Thomas. Can he make it 6? We have 6. Boreham Wood 6. Yeovil 2. Thomas gets his second of the game. I mean, all I'm hoping now is that we're not getting all the goals in the one match of the season. Hopefully this is, as I said before, this is a sign of things to come. What a game, what a result, and what a first episode in the main season this is. One thing I did realise is obviously Thomas went off after that, and he went off on a hat-trick. Hopefully he doesn't come back to, hope he doesn't get angry at me for taking him off on his hat-trick, but I mean, for somebody who was tired, he definitely had a fair bit of pace going through there. What a game. 6-2. I don't think there's anything more really I can say about that match than as I've already said. Outstretched arms. Very pleased with the result. What a fantastic game. And it does seem that we have carried on our pre-season goal-scoring form into the main season, even with our star striker on the injury list. So we score 6 goals in this match away at Yeovil, coming into this as underdogs, and the only thing the media can talk about is an injury worry for Warburton. What's wrong with him? He's got a thigh strain. He'll be fine. He'll be able to run that off. So when do we come back for the next episode? So I think it's probably going to be, we'll obviously move forward a couple of matches. I'm going to say I'm probably going to come back around here. Maybe have the Chesterfield and then the FA Cup 4th round qualifying, or maybe even Stockport and the FA Cup match. So maybe play around there. And then moving forward, again, as I've done with a lot of my series, do one a month. So maybe come in around here, maybe somewhere in the centre, a couple of televised games there. We definitely have to get the Barnet game in, as they are a fierce rival. And obviously moving into the latter half of the season, we'll obviously play it by ear, depending on how things are going. We'll talk about starting a season with fireworks. What a game. If you enjoyed that, please give the video a like. I mean, I think if any video deserves a like, it's going to be a 6-2 result away. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel and hit the bell icon to be notified of brand new FM21 videos. And thank you very much for watching.